Welcome everyone to our virtual cooking class today. My name is Kate Watts. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist with Cone Health and the Live Life Well Employee Wellbeing team. Today's cooking class theme is farm to table. So we've got some delicious fresh ingredients. I went down to the Garden Valley Farmers Market here in Burlington, and we're going to be making two recipes today. Well, kind of three. So the first one we're going to be putting together is a roasted corn and tomato salsa. And then with that, we're going to also make a creamy cilantro sauce. And then the last recipe we're going to do today is a pickled summer squash. This is a recipe from Chef Lynn Wells, who we've partnered with for quite some time. And she did this one for us a summer or two ago, and I make it every summer. It's delicious. So we're going to make that together as well. So let's get started. We're going to do our roasted corn and tomato salsa because while you can enjoy this cold with like canned corn that's already been cooked, we are going to be doing a roasted version today in the oven. So I've got my oven preheated to 375 degrees, and we're going to start by just putting all of our salsa ingredients into a large bowl. And then we're going to spread this out evenly across our baking sheet, okay? If you have questions or comments as we go, feel free to throw those in the chat. Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. And also, if you're watching online, we do record these classes. It goes on the Live Life Well YouTube channel. The recipes will all be in the description box below. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is our corn. So I have some lovely white sweet corn that we're going to use in our salsa. And I love roasted corn. This fresh corn from the farmer's market, I'm just going to cut it off of the cob so that we have the loose kernels. I'm just going to set it in the center of my cutting board. And I'm going to go very slow, otherwise you'll have kernels flying in every direction in your kitchen. So we're just going to slowly go down each side. And of course, as mentioned, you can use a canned corn or a frozen corn. And if you wanted to enjoy the roasted flavor of the corn, but have a cold salsa, you could just roast this on your stovetop in a skillet with a little bit of oil or water, and then throw the roasted corn in with your other cold ingredients. So I'm going to use my bench scraper here and get all of our kernels into our large bowl. Okay, next up are tomatoes. So the recipe calls for cherry tomatoes cut in half, which works great. I'm going to use Roma tomatoes because that's what was at the farmer's market. And I already washed all my produce ahead of time, so everything is nice and clean. And so these are going to actually roast up really nicely. I'm going to trim off the end, cut it in half. I'm going to do kind of large wedges. I think works better when you're roasting tomatoes in the oven. And then I'm going to cut those in half, just so we have kind of nice large chunks. Okay. I love a fresh salsa in the summertime. This roasted salsa, you can still enjoy it, you know, with your favorite kind of chips. But the original recipe I got it from, it's served over a baked fish. And actually it's all done in one baking sheet. So I will link that with the recipe that I include in the description box on our recording. So yes, this can be enjoyed on its own or together over any kind of, you know, grilled chicken or fish would be really delicious. All right, so next the recipe calls for jalapeno which I love, but I also really enjoy a milder option, which is the poblano pepper. So we're going to dice this up. This also is so good roasted. And as best I can, I'm going to try to remove the seeds. And so in our nutrition classes with Cone Health, we often talk about eating the rainbow and how eating colorful fruits and vegetables is a great way to ensure that you're getting a good variety of nutrition. And so I love like a bean salad or a salsa or a pasta salad in the summer because you can get in a whole lot of different colors and it's really pretty on the plate. It's a nice complement to, anything we might be grilling in the summertime. All right, so I'm just going to do a kind of, again, a more chunkier chop of our poblano. Add that. My husband actually grows jalapenos in his container garden on our deck, but they're not quite ready yet. Otherwise, I would have loved to have featured that in here. Okay, next we're doing half of a red onion. I've already chopped that up, diced that up really nice for us, so we'll just add that to the bowl. See all these colors coming together. And then we're going to add in some garlic. So we're just going to mince our garlic. So I'm just going to take the flat, turn my knife flat, use the palm of my hand to break open that skin on the garlic. Now I can more easily peel the skin off of there. And I actually have, you could just dice this really fine, but I've got my nice handy little garlic press that we'll use today. And you can use like a canned garlic, like a pre-minced convenience item. I'm using fresh garlic today. I'm just going to trim off the ends and then using my garlic press here. Just going to let that do all the work. Just takes a little bit of hand grip strength. All right, so I'm going to use my knife. Make sure I've got all that garlic in there. Okay, we're going to toss this with some seasonings and some oil before we spread it out on our baking sheet. So let me check my recipe here. Okay, so we are going to do, let's see, got my tomatoes, my garlic, my poblano, my red onion, my corn. We're going to do a pinch of salt and a tablespoon of olive oil. So I'm just going to do a couple little grinds of salt there, tablespoon of olive oil drizzled over. Mix that all together. Grab our baking sheet. So I'm just got it lined with parchment paper and I'm going to spread out our salsa. Here, let me see if I can maneuver this where you can see a little bit better. All right, so let's spread this out. And if you wanted to add other seasonings at this point, you could go ahead and sprinkle them over top here. So if you wanted to do a little bit of pepper or other spices, you could do that. I'm just trying to spread it out as best I can so everything gets nice and roasty toasty. Okay. We're going to pop that in the oven for about 7 to 10 minutes. Give it a stir and then an additional 7 to 10 minutes and it'll be ready to eat. So let's pop that in. I'm gonna set our timer for 7 minutes. And now we're gonna get started on the creamy cilantro sauce that goes over top of our salsa. And so the recipe says to use a blender or a food processor. I'm going to use my mini food processor for this. It's great for little, 1 cup jobs. Let me get my cutting board back over here. Okay, so we're going to start with our container. We're going to add in, I'm going to half the recipe. So we're going to do half a cup of a plain Greek yogurt. I just happen to have non-fat. You can do full fat or reduced fat, whatever you would like. Everything will work fine in this recipe. So I'm just going to spoon my yogurt in. And to this, it's really simple. We're going to add some lime juice, some maple syrup, some salt, and of course the cilantro. Now, if you don't like cilantro, you could do a parsley or even a dill. But I'm a big fan of cilantro, and I think this sauce is just delicious with the lime juice. So let's go ahead and squeeze our limes. If you want to get the most juice you can out of your limes, you want to give them a little roll on your countertop. It's going to loosen it up inside, and you'll be able to more easily juice it. Then I'm going to cut it in half. And I've got my little lime squeezer here. Since I'm doing half the recipe, we need 1.5 tablespoons of lime juice. Oh yeah. So probably 1 lime is going to do it for us. Smells amazing. And if you wanted to go an extra step here, you could even include a little bit of lime zest into this as well. Okay, the next main ingredient is going to be our cilantro. So let's get that cut up. And we need about 1/2 cup. You can include the stems if you like. I don't love the texture. I prefer to take a little bit of time to peel off some of the leaves and get rid of some of the bigger stems. I'll keep some of the smaller ones in there. Oh, it smells so good. And this is something you could also, farm to table theme, grow yourself at home, have a little herb garden. Let me know in the chat if any of you grow your own herbs or what you're growing this season. If you're gardening at all, I quite honestly don't have much of a green thumb. My husband does. I try not to touch them because I will kill them. But I do enjoy cooking from a kitchen garden or an herb garden. Love having fresh herbs. We always have rosemary and mint. Those are probably our 2 favorites. So let me know what you're growing. Okay, fresh herbs too, I think for any recipe, really bring a whole different flavor. So if you've got some fresh produce and you're wanting to flavor it up, fresh herbs, a good quality oil, and a citrus of some kind go a really long way in adding a lot of fresh flavor without needing to add a whole lot of salt or a whole lot of fat. Basil, rosemary, mint, love it. Okay, I think we've got just about enough here to get blending. Pinch off a few more. If you have kids and you like for them to help out in the kitchen, this is a great job for them to do. Again, I've already washed everything, so. Okay, let's get to chopping. So we've got our little bunch of cilantro here. I'm just gonna gather it into a pile. And probably using a smaller knife would work well here as also. I'm going to kind of roll it so that it stays together. And just going to do a rolling chop here, keeping the point of my knife down on the board and rocking back and forth, and then we'll kind of turn it and come across the other way. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's going in a food processor anyway. All right, so we're going to add that to our mixture. All right, great. So next up, we've got our yogurt. We're going to do a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. We've got our lime juice and cilantro. We're going to chop up another clove of garlic, just roughly, and then add a little bit of salt and maple syrup. So let's do our tablespoon of oil here. Okay. And then we will add in our maple syrup. So we're going to do a teaspoon of pure maple syrup as our sweetener. You could use honey or agave syrup if you don't have maple syrup on hand. Okay, and then we're going to do half a teaspoon of salt and then our garlic clove. All right, there's our half a teaspoon. Okay, so let's see. Clean this up a little bit. Push that down the sides. All right, let's chop up our garlic. So I'm just going to trim the ends. Peel off the paper. There goes my timer. So we can check on our salsa that's roasting. I'm just going to give this a little bit of a slice. And we'll come across one more time for a little bit of a dice. And then we'll get that into our little mini food processor. Okay, so I'm going to give this a whirl and then we will pull out our veggies and see how they're doing, give them a little stir. So I'm going to take this over to, let me wipe this side off. Take this over to our food processor. That looks delicious. And I can smell our veggies. Okay, so that looks really nice. You can see the cilantro in there, but it's well blended. That just looks delicious. Okay, so we're going to put that to the side to spoon over our final product. Let's take a look at how our vegetables are doing. I'm going to clear a little space here. Smells absolutely amazing with that garlic that we put in here. Woo! Oh, delicious. Okay, so we're just going to give it a little stir so that everything kind of, gets more evenly roasted. Oh my gosh, that smells so good. Okay, let's pop that back in for another 7 minutes. Voila! Okay, so we're going to work on our pickled summer squash while we wait for that to finish. then we'll plate everything up. So let's grab a mason jar. Now you can do this in a bowl. I like to do it in a mason jar, so I'm going to have that to the side here. We're simply going to cut up a squash, a stick of celery, and a sweet onion. That's going to go in our jar, and then we're going to make our dressing of apple cider vinegar, vegetable oil, sugar, and some spices, turmeric, salt, and pepper. And that all goes into the jar together, and you can refrigerate it. It really only takes about 3 hours in the refrigerator, so it's a quick pickled product. So I'm going to very thinly slice my squash. I like to come across and go ahead and cut it in half, and now it can lay flat on my cutting board and fit better into the jar. And I'm just going to, as thinly as I can, using the rocking motion of my knife, slice the squash into half moons. And then do one at a time here. So this recipe, to me, it's a great just fresh side dish to have on your plate. It, to me, reminds me of like the classic cucumber salad that we like to make here in the South in the summertime, which is just cucumbers, onion, and tomato in a sugar and vinegar kind of dressing. So this is just an alternative, you know, get a little bit more variety and use up the abundant summer squash we tend to have in North Carolina throughout the summer. So it's just kind of a different way to use it. So what I'm going to do is actually pile everything up all together on the board so it kind of gets combined, and then we'll put it into our jar. So I've got my sweet onion already chopped. We'll place that here. And we're just going to do 1 stalk of celery. And again, I'm going to cut it down the middle in half and now come across and slice it. Okay, so we've got our base ingredients, and we're going to fit those into our mason jar. Y'all, I'm going to be honest, I tried doing this with tongs. I just got to use my hands because you gotta really push it down in there, okay? So anyway, I tried to be more civilized. Okay, so you can actually fit quite a bit in here. We're just going to keep pushing everything down. And then we're going to mix our dressing together and just pour it right over the top to fill the jar, and then pop that in the fridge. Okay, so let's get our dressing going. I'm just going to use this glass mixing container, measuring container here. And to that, we're going to, I'm doing a third of the recipe, however you say that properly. And so I'm going to do about 1/3 cup of apple cider vinegar and 1/4 cup of sugar. So I've got my apple cider vinegar here. Going to add that first. Okay. Then we will add in our sugar and whisk that all together. 1/4 cup of sugar. That way the sugar can get nicely dissolved. Okay. Then to that, we're going to add our salt, pepper, and turmeric. So I'm just doing 1/4 teaspoon of each. So 1/4 teaspoon. Salt. Next up, pepper. Oh gosh, I don't throw my whisk on the floor. And lastly, Turmeric. So I love the addition of turmeric in here. Lots of great health properties to turmeric. The main one being that it's a strong anti-inflammatory. It also gives a really bright, vibrant yellow color, which you'll see when I pull the other jar out of the fridge. And then we're going to add in our oil. So we're going to whisk our spices in. And then as we do that, we're going to add in our vegetable oil a little bit at a time. And just get that well combined. Okay, so now we can pour this into our mason jar slowly so it has a chance to seep down and cover everything. And again, if you just want to do this in a bowl, you're just going to cover it really well with, saran wrap, plastic wrap, something like that, airtight lid. And then keep it in the fridge for at least 3 hours to refrigerate. With a mason jar, once you screw on the top, you can shake it, get everything nicely combined. There's our pickled squash. And let me just pull out the one I made this morning. So this has really only been in for about an hour, but this is what we'll taste. So let's pull out our veggies and see what everything's looking like. All right, there goes my timer. Perfect. Oh, yum. Looks incredible. Incredible. Okay, so here's our roasted veggies. See if you can. And if you're like me and you want like the extra crisp, you could then pop your oven up to broil and give it a minute under the broiler to really get that char on the corn. But this is looking delicious. So let's plate this up real quick. Got my bowl. I'm going to spoon my roasted salsa right in the middle here. Try to get as much of that red and green and purple as I can. Oh, it's so pretty, y'all. What a beautiful little appetizer, too. So let's, let me move this out of the way and we will top it with our cilantro cream dressing that we made. So there we go. Oh, yum. Y'all, this looks so good. Okay. How pretty is that? Bowl full of summer flavors. I promise y'all I'm not normally this popular. I don't know if you can hear the, the phone going off. Okay, let's add our pickled squash to try. Just gonna scoop some out here with my fork. So it's gonna have a really pretty yellow color from, of course, the squash, but that turmeric just like brightens it up even more. Oh, yum, y'all, so good. All right, there's our little pickled squash salad. Let's give these a taste. Oh man, it's so delicious. Crunchy, refreshing, and packed full of flavor. So good. Let's try the salsa. Make sure I get some of that cream sauce, some of that poblano. Oh my gosh, y'all. You have got to make this. This over fish or chicken. But I'm telling you, just right here in this bowl like it is, incredible. Fresh out of the oven. Thank y'all for joining me. I'm going to check and see if we have any questions. Happy to chat with y'all a moment. If you're watching online, thank you. Leave us a comment down below.
check out the other recordings we have available for you. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks so much.